You are Venezuela's top diplomat, yet you've had difficulty even accessing your own embassy. I do wonder, how far along are you in accessing Venezuelan assets in the U.S., including U.S. bank accounts?
Thank you for this opportunity. As you know, we are working together with the U.S. authorities in order to take control of our assets. We need to follow legal procedures, legal rules, and that's what we are doing. But the main goal at this moment in time, I will see this in two phases. One, we need to we need to protect our assets. First, we need to communicate that we have a new government, and the rest of the entities should not follow instruction from the former government. The other phase that we are working now is how to take control orderly and progressively, following legal procedures, and that's what we are doing right now with the U.S. authorities.
We are seeing new nations, including many European nations, adding their voice of support to a Guaido government, but adding quickly that they'd like to see free elections happen. How quickly do you think that could happen, assuming that Guaido does manage to get control of the apparatus of government?
Well, the first thing to highlight is that it's quite important to receive the support from the European countries. I mean, this gives you a sense that this is a fight between the free world and against the dictatorship of Maduro, which is totally controlled by Cuba. So this gives us a strong momentum right now. So we need to keep our agenda. In order to have that election, we need to end the usurpation of power first, then we need to establish the transitional government, and we need to work with the international community the date to have this free and fair election.
Cooperation with the U.S., does that include potentially a military intervention in Venezuela, as President Trump has mentioned? Have you talked about that?
No, we haven't talked about that. And as I said, our agenda has been very clear, and that's why we have been asking the support of the international community. As I said, one, we need to end the usurpation of power. We need to put all the pressure in this element. Second, we want to have this transitional government, and we want to call for a free and fair election. This is our agenda. This is what we have pushing for, and that's why we are receiving the strong support of the international community. I hope we can get a peaceful solution, and we want to conduct this in a smooth transition in order to stop the suffering of the Venezuelan people.
We are seeing, of course, new powerful leadership in the military voicing their support for Guaido. Obviously, a peaceful transition is something that many of your international and hemispheric supporters also voice support for. But in the absence of that transition, is there a moment at which a Guaido regime would actually move to take forceful action against Maduro?
Well, we need to keep our pressure. We have been working in three different levels. One, domestically, internally, with the people. We had huge demonstration recently during this weekend, and in which you can see the spirit of change that the people of Venezuela have. Then we have the National Assembly, our Congress, the only elected institution left in Venezuela. We are passing a resolution inside of the National Assembly to move forward with the transition. And of course, the international community. We are working these three different levels, and I hope this pressure will work, and we could achieve a peaceful solution soon.
So what sort of pressure from the international community do you think will help convince members of the military to abandon the Maduro regime?
Well, to give you an example, the decision which was taken by the European countries sent also a message to not only to our supporters in Venezuela, because they will see that they are not alone. It's sending a message to the inner circle of Maduro. It's sending a message to the military force saying, okay, this is the Maduro regime doesn't go to any way. It is time to take a decision. This is the moment to take a decision, because otherwise they will have any type of future. So this will be very relevant, because put pressure on them as well.
And yet there are members of the international community that don't agree. We have seen China, for example, be very, very cautious about establishing a relationship with Mr. Guaido. Have you had conversations with them?
We want to have conversation with them. We have said that they should keep neutrality in this moment in time, and they have to understand that this is a movement led by us, by Venezuelans, that we want to have a mutual relationship with different countries, including China and Russia, and we need to work this very, very closely.
Can you give us a bit of a roadmap of what a Guaido government would do to reestablish some kind of economic stability and stability in your currency?
I will give you at least three things that we need to do. From the political point of view, we need to bring stability, political stability. And we are calling the Chavismo group to be part of the National Assembly. They have 53 seats in the National Assembly, and that institution will be a key actor in order to conduct a smooth transition in Venezuela. From the economic point of view, we want to have an open economy. We need to rebuild our oil sector, and we need to restructure our debt. So we will have opportunity for many people, and we will need the private sector, not only the nationals, but also foreign investments. And of course, in the third element of the equation is the social element. We have a poverty of 87%. We need to have social stability, and part of that income that we will create with the economic development will need to be put in the social aspect to bring this stability in that sector.
There has been a concern raised by Guaido publicly that Maduro is moving public funds out of the country. What, if anything, can you do to stop the transfer of those funds in the interim?
Well, we have been working with the countries who have recognized Guaido in order to communicate to different authorities that there is a new government, that they don't need to follow instruction of the former government. That's one step. And the other one is just taking control progressively, orderly, following legal procedures. So we are working in these two steps at the same time.
On the oil sector, who controls Citgo right now?
That is something that we need to control. We just communicate that the new government need to take control of that. It is important to mention that I'm representing the Republic, but Citgo is a public entity, and in order to take political control, we need to follow legal procedure according to the U.S. legislation, and that's what we are working now.
Would that include a potential bankruptcy for Citgo?
No, that is not in the map. It's not needed. What we want to do is just take political control over the board, and we want to keep the operation running as they are right now, and we won't do any change at this moment in time. President Interim Guaido has said that all the employees will remain in Citgo as it is right now, so we want to keep that operation running as it is.